If you've been scrolling through endless specs sheets, watching video after video trying to decide which office workstation actually makes sense for a small office or a home-based business, this review is here to clear that up. You know the feeling, the i7 sounds great, 32 gigabytes of RAM seems like overkill, and then you wonder if you'll actually use all that power or just end up with a pricey paperweight. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's walk through the real-world picture, the hidden trade-offs, and who should really consider the HP ProDesk 400G9 small form factor. First off, the ProDesk 400G9 is positioned as a compact, business-ready desktop. That wording isn't just marketing fluff. The chassis is literally about the size of a thick textbook, so it fits nicely on a cramped desk or under a monitor arm. For anyone who has ever fought for desk space in a shared office, that footprint is a genuine win. The small form factor also means you can mount it on the back of a monitor using a Visa bracket, turning the whole setup into a tidy all-in-one that looks like a monitor stand rather than a clunky tower. Performance-wise, the i7-12700K is a high-end 12th Gen chip. In everyday business tasks, opening spreadsheets, running a few virtual machines, compiling code, or handling multiple Office 365 apps at once, you'll notice the system never stutters. The 32 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM is more than enough for a typical finance analyst who runs large Excel models while keeping a web browser, Outlook, and a PDF viewer open. It also gives you headroom if you decide to dabble in light video editing for marketing videos or need to spin up a few Docker containers for development work. In short, the performance level is future-proof for most SMB workloads. Now, let's talk about storage. A 1TB NVMe SSD is lightning fast, which translates into near-instant Windows 11 Pro boot times and virtually no wait when opening large files. I've seen people complain that even fast SSDs can feel sluggish when the drive fills up, but with a full terabyte you're unlikely to hit that ceiling unless you're storing raw video footage daily. For a small design studio that keeps assets on a shared NAS, the local SSD serves as a perfect cache. You can edit directly off it and still have the heavy files backed up elsewhere. Security is another angle HP emphasizes. The ProDesk line includes built-in TPM 2.0 and optional HP Sure Start firmware protection. If you're in a regulated industry, think finance, healthcare, or legal, those hardware-based safeguards can simplify compliance audits. They also give peace of mind if you're concerned about ransomware, because the firmware can recover the BIOS to a known good state. For a freelance consultant working from a coffee shop, that extra layer might feel like overkill, but the cost is baked into the price, so you're not paying extra for features you might never use. So who should actually buy this machine? The sweet spot is a small to mid-size business that needs a reliable workstation for a handful of power users, but also wants to keep the office footprint tidy. Think of an accounting firm where each accountant needs a robust PC for multi-sheet analysis, or a graphic design boutique that runs Adobe Creative Cloud on a few workstations while the rest of the team uses lighter laptops. It's also a solid choice for a home office where you have limited desk space but still want the horsepower to run a few virtual environments for testing. On the flip side, you should skip the ProDesk 400G9 if you're a pure gamer or a creator who relies heavily on GPU-intensive workloads. The small form factor chassis can accommodate only low-profile graphics cards, and there's no room for a full-size RTX 3080 class GPU without external enclosures. If your primary need is a workstation for 3D rendering or high-resolution video editing, you'll quickly feel constrained. Similarly, if you're a startup on an ultra-tight budget, you might find the price tag a little steep compared to a consumer-grade desktop that still meets basic needs. Let's get into some practical strengths beyond the headline specs. The expandability is surprisingly decent for a small box. There are 2 DIMM slots, so you could start with 16 gigabytes and upgrade to 32 gigabytes later without swapping out the whole board. The rear panel offers a mix of USB-C, USB-A, HDMI, and DisplayPort, which means you can hook up dual monitors without needing adapters. That's a real time saver for anyone who works with multiple screens. The power supply is a 250-watt unit, which is efficient enough for the i7 and a modest GPU, but it also keeps electricity costs low, something you'll appreciate in a small office where the lights are on all day. Now, the weaknesses. The first one is thermal headroom. Because the chassis is so tight, the cooling solution is a single 120mm fan that pulls air through the front and exhausts out the back. Under sustained heavy load, say, running a long data analysis script or a batch of PDF conversions, the system can get warm enough that the fan ramps up noticeably. It's not a catastrophic